blood sugar stabilization is such a root cause of inflammation in our bodies and also can be a precursor to many different problems. So I love to teach people about how can we biohack. I love that. How do we biohack our system so that we can actually create an environment where our blood sugar is low?
Redding is a beautiful place. We have national parks in 3 different directions, 2 world-class lakes. This is a sportsman's paradise, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is allredding. I am here with Tami McQuoid.
Yes.
I said that right.
You said it right.
But it's spelled.
Yeah. McQuoid. It's the 3 vowels in a row. It throws people way off.
Yeah. And are all is that all Scottish? Is that Scottish
Irish,
name?
Scott, yeah.
Irish,
Scottish,
Scottish,
Irish,
Irish?
yeah. And I married into McQuoid, right? So my maiden name was Brown, like the color.
Okay.
So,
which is English.
yeah, very
right?
English. Yeah.
Look
yeah,
at me.
Yeah.
Doing
Very
my
good.
genealogy.
Very good. Yes.
So
Yeah.
you have before we got together, I was
Yeah.
kind of looking at your profile, right? I was looking at some of your stuff online.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this lady does a lot of stuff. This is not like a single hat wear at all. Yeah.
Very true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have like a day job.
Yeah.
Right? You have a lot of things and we'll go over it. But your day job is, can you give me the title?
Yeah. I am a nursing instructor and clinical coordinator. So I actually wear a lot of hats in my day job also. But it's kind of what I do. Work for Simpson University. So full time there. Kind of in this like hybrid faculty staff position, helping run the program.
So this program is for people who want to be registered nurses?
Yes.
Or?
So BSN, registered nurses. So they would graduate with their BSN, which is great, at the university, our local university. So
I didn't even
good.
know Simpson had, for some reason, when I think of Simpson, I don't think of I would think like a nursing would be like a major university type thing. And I think of Simpson as like a small little local university, but I guess I just.
Yeah, well, in their nursing program, we've been ranked #1 in the past in the state
Really?
of California. Yeah, so we have a great nursing program. We get a lot of people from out of this area coming to it. So
Right here in Redding.
Yeah, right here in Redding. Yeah.
So you're teaching the next
generation of nurses, and I love it. It's been great.
But you're also in a hospital setting?
Yes. Well, what I do right now is I actually teach clinicals in the hospital. So right now I'm at Mercy Medical teaching my students there. So I'll start that up again in the fall, and I love it. My background's OB, labor and delivery, postpartum, so it's just fun to show them the ropes. So, yeah.
And I saw in your feed, you're really into healthy living, healthy diet, a lot of posts about nutrition.
Yes. So that has been my latest passion. That is I'm actually starting a business called True Balance Health.
Oh, okay.
So I'm launching that, getting certified in functional medicine to be a health coach. So that has been such an incredible journey for me, just being a nurse for 28 years, getting my master's degree, and now getting my functional medicine certification, be board certified in that. But that has actually come out of just some hard diagnosis within our family, and really feeling like I need some answers. Like this Western medicine wasn't quite cutting it. And so I kind of hit this disappointment place. And sometimes when you go through those trials where you're like, okay, all I knew in the past to do isn't working anymore. So I need something else. So God, what does that look like? And just kind of waiting on him to open up the next door. And that happened to be functional medicine. So here I am.
When you say functional medicine, what does that mean?
Oh, thanks for asking. I love that.
You were throwing words at me, and I was like, I think she thinks I'm in the field. I'm not.
Yeah. So what I love, so being a nurse for 28 years and coming to Redding, and there's such a diverse group of people here, and really not feeling like I am hardcore Western allopathic medicine, which is you go to the doctor, you get your medication, you do the things, you get your diagnosis, and you do the things. So functional medicine is actually integrative medicine. So we're taking the best of like a holistic approach or an Eastern approach, and we're combining it with the Western medicine model. So what it looks like is really looking at root cause medicine. So you're not just saying, oh, take this pill for X amount of time and then you're going to be fine. You're changing the question to why do I need to take this pill? What is going on behind the pill? So functional medicine is really pulling back the layers and looking at root cause medicine, which is very different, but it tells the whole story. And really the story starts at when you were born. Like when I meet with clients, that's part of the questions I ask. Did your mom have a vaginal delivery or a C-section?
Wow.
Were you breastfed or were you bottle fed? Why do those questions matter? Because actually when you're born as a baby, when you are born out of the vaginal canal, there's really important bacteria that you actually get when you're born that really helps your microbiome later on in life, your gut basically later on in life. And then breastfed babies, you get antibodies through your mom's breast milk that actually helps give you a more robust immune system. Now, obviously, if you weren't either of those things, there's other ways that you can build those things into your system to be healthy. But if you're starting out in life and you're kind of dealing with some of those inadequacies in some ways, then we need to know that because we're going to be building that into your current plan of care or your current progress. Where are you going? So...
It's in the last few years, I've seen a lot of stuff like that. Not exactly the things you touched upon, but a term that I've heard several times is your gut is your second brain.
Yes.
Just a lot of stuff like Andrew Huberman talks a lot about that. There was a famous jiu-jitsu guy, Gordon Ryan, and he had all these, he's number one in the world, and then he can't compete for months. Then he's number one in the world. He can't compete for months. And he went through this incredible journey where he had taken so many antibiotics over so many years because he kept rolling and getting these staph infections, things like that, that he had destroyed his gut biome.
Yeah.
But they couldn't diagnose. I mean, he went through doctor, and finally someone started, and I'm kind of like ending what I know about him.
Yeah.
But I know that just watching him go through this struggle of like where he's healthy and then he looks on the verge of death and then he's healthy and he's on the verge of death and he's, a top performing athlete.
Right.
But that opened my eyes to just how important what we eat.
Oh,
and more than just,
Well, when you talk about the gut, 70% of our immune system is in our gut, so we got to really think about what are we feeding it and how is it responding. When you look at traditional medicine, we'll run some labs, we'll do maybe some scopes, but we're not really looking at what is the actual content, what kind of bacteria, the good and the bad, because there's a balance. There's a synergistic balance that you actually have this really important good and bad guys kind of. And if you have more bad guys than good guys, then you have a problem. You have a dysbiosis, right? And if you have more good than the bad, then you're going to keep some of those suppressed, right? But there's a balance that you need to have a little bit of both. Probably heard of candida overgrowth.
Yeah.
So
it's like yeast or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of people, and this is part of my passion for doing this because a lot of people, women, men, I just have this, I crave sugar or I crave these things. I wish I had better willpower. I wish I had, and they beat themselves up. But I want to say, it's not your willpower, it's your microbiome. It's your gut that's like actually screaming out for you to go get that next Twinkie or that next Oreo or that next whatever that thing is. And if I can give you a little bit of a history of like how we even got to this place, I would love to. So have you heard of the Flexner Report?
No.
Okay, so the Flexner Report is from 1910, and it was actually a guy named Abraham Flexner that came, and he basically said, we have a little bit of a Wild West situation. So we had a lot of natural practitioners back then that were doing a lot of things, healing a lot of things. And we had some more traditional Western medicine doctors as well, but it was a little bit of a Wild West. But he came in and said, okay, we're going to streamline what's going on in medicine. And with Carnegie and Rockefeller, they all together decided, we need to do something here. So they created this Flexner Report. Well, the results of it could appear good on the outside, but the result of the Flexner Report is 50% of medical schools in the nation closed down. And of those 50%, they were all the natural, alternative, holistic schools. And they decided to go, we're going to go completely based on facts and science. And we're going to have this be a pharmaceutical solution to whatever people come in. Whatever ailments they come in with, we want a pharmaceutical solution. Well, that was really handy for Rockefeller because Rockefeller, if you know, look at his history, he was one of the the founding oil producers of our nation.
Sure.
So oil, there's a lot of byproducts from oil production, and that is a petroleum product. So he was looking at some of this petroleum going, well, I need to know what to do with this. Hey, I can use it in pills. I can make pharmaceuticals out of some of this petroleum leftover from my oil production. So him and Carnegie decided, let's do this. Let's go into this. And that's kind of the beginning of what we call now Big Pharma or So if you fast forward kind of up to the time where having chronic medication became normal, because up till about the 70s and 80s, having a chronic, when I say chronic medication, that's something you take every single day, okay? Before the 70s and the 80s, people would take like, oh, you have an infection, take an antibiotic for 2 weeks, you know? And so you just take your antibiotics and you'd be done. You move on to the next thing. People were on insulin and things like that, but it wasn't until the invention of the birth control pill that actually the medical climate of our nation changed. And all of a sudden, people were taking a pill that they didn't really need to get better, but they needed it to not get pregnant. And people started to look at, okay, now we can give people a medication that they'll take every single day. And it kind of became more normal. So if you remember back in like the 80s, like Valium, like Mommy's Little Helper, like Valium was like really widely spread. And so this continued to be more and more prescribed and accepted. And now we're at the place where we're giving a lot of people are on chronic medications. You know, like we have 6 out of 10 Americans right now actually are diagnosed with a chronic disease. And 4 out of 10 have 2 or more. Like, that blows my mind. So
sounds like a pandemic.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And so, like, for me, like, the personal part of that is with my daughter, my 19-year-old daughter. So she was given a D2 scholarship to play volleyball. And
very nice.
The summer before she left, she's like, Mom, my joints, I don't know what's going on. They're really sore. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, okay, let's keep looking. Brought her in, got some labs done, rheumatoid factor. So at 19, she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, wow.
And as an RN, you know, I'm like, I gotta figure this out, you know. So I was going hard looking for all the answers and going to the doctors, and they were just like, yeah, it just happens. It's autoimmune, you know, her body's attacking itself. That's what it is. And I was like, I'm not okay with this. This is not okay. And so, and this is what I really want to stress when we talk about like Western medicine, the traditional medicine and functional medicine, and how we need them both, right? Like it's not like you can shove one away or either one, you know? So with my daughter, we really tried the natural route first. We tried to go completely natural. We saw a naturopath doctor, and her labs weren't changing. It felt like nothing was helping at this point. And we did all we knew to do at that time. And I just remember one day just in prayer when I was like, Lord, just crying out like, I need your guidance. Like we need your guidance, you know? And I just felt like I heard like, just put the fire out. Just put the fire out. And it just kind of released me to be like, okay, we're just going to go down this road. So we got a great rheumatologist, and she definitely doesn't understand nutrition. Most medical schools, they have 11 hours of nutrition training in their entire medical career. So she didn't know much about nutrition, but she knew about what we needed to have her know about, which was how do we put this fire out? So my daughter's put on some pretty strong immunosuppressants, prednisone, some tough medications. And it was hard. It was hard to have her have to take these shots every week in her stomach and have medications that hurt her tummy or had side effects that nobody really wants. You don't want your daughter on a prednisone pill for long.
No.
But what happened is it put the fire out. Like she was able to have a semi-normal year. You know, she wasn't the athlete that she was, but she was able to function okay. And it gave us space for right now to really look at the reason why this is happening. So now we're in the middle of doing a GI map, which is when we talk about the gut microbiome, you can actually do, in functional medicine, we do a GI map to look at what is going on. What is the balance? Is there a parasite? Is there something going on that we just don't know that she could have gotten in the past? So I'm really grateful because if we didn't have the ability to put the fire out, the damage, and rheumatoid arthritis is one of those autoimmune disorders that if you don't put the fire out and stop the swelling, it actually will get worse. And it could actually cause permanent damage to your joints.
Oh, wow.
So I really want to say, like, I'm so thankful for that route, that Western route that we were able to take. But I'm also grateful for the right now that we're able to find out, like, what is really going on. And I totally believe that she'll be healed of this. We just need to do a little work to get there. But yeah.
So, you know, it's funny, before the camera started rolling, I told you a little about myself.
Yeah.
And I told you I am a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
an unabashed conspiracy
Yeah.
theorist. So I have a couple of, I don't know if you call them philosophies or underlying truths that I live by.
Yeah.
I think capitalism is the single greatest invention of man to make innovation, right? The marketplace.
Yeah.
But I think capitalism, like anything, can be exploited.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what you were talking about in 1910, it's been exploited for a very, very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have several friends in the pharmaceutical industries, and, you know, they're kind of like, they kind of joke. It's kind of like one of those things when you joke, but there's some seriousness in it.
Right.
You know, and it's like, you know, cure is a 4-letter word. You don't make money off people that are cured.
That's the truth. You don't.
And even they know it, but it's like, hey, I got to feed my family. But, you know, you don't, when people like that say that, you don't dig into the conversation. Mm-hmm. You don't go, so you know you're a stormtrooper. Like, you know what I mean? You're just like, yeah, sure, of course. I mean, somebody's got to guard the Death Star, right? I mean, you know what I mean? There's innocent, there's janitors working there.
Right.
So, but this idea that capitalism without constraints was like, hey, we've got this product. How do we make money off it? Well, let's make a market for it. Yeah. Well, who would take it? Well, sick people would take it.
Right. And they'll take it for a long time.
And my mother-in-law passed away. It's been, golly, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe 11 years. But when she died young. She died in her 60s. She died in her sleep. She was on 19 medications. Yeah. And she had a laundry bag of pills that she was on. And it was, well, I take this for this, but then there's a side effect, so I take this, and then for that side effect, I take this. And then it was this like chain of like, wait, start again? How did this start? Right. You know, and it was...
that's so many people's story, too.
Yeah,
so many,
and I know she's a super extreme version of that, but like you said, you know, 60% of people in America are on medication daily, and 40%...
6 out of 10 have a chronic disease.
That's what it was, chronic disease,
and
which probably means they're on medication. Yeah,
right? And 4 out of 10 have more than one. So most likely, unless they're aware of ways that they can treat it from a functional model, they're probably going to be on some medication. But there's hope in that too, and that's part of my passion to get the word out about functional medicine, because I think that we can reverse some of this stuff, you know, but there's got to be, like I always say, you got to own your health. Like, you can't trust your doctor to own your health. No. You know, you can't trust in 15 minutes at the doctor's office that they're going to be able to look at all the medications you've been on, your entire life story, and be able to piece it all together and be able to give you an accurate path forward. So I just, you know, and you talked about like the Big Pharma and like the people that, there's not bad people in that industry. It's not about, like you said, people are going to be in it, but understanding that in Big Pharma, there's always going to be this continual push to keep people on the medication. You're never, you know, the pharmaceutical industry hires salespeople to come to the doctor's offices to encourage the doctors to write scripts for the things, and then they give them cruises if they do, right? You guys, we'll see on our TV, if you see, there's ads for different medications.
We're one of only 2 countries in the world that allows that.
Exactly. And so, and hopefully with Bobby Kennedy, he's going to do a little bit with that, clean that up a little bit. He's working on that currently. But we just need to understand, like, there's a reason that there's a push towards medications, you know, but we have to have the balance. Like, there's got to be the both and I think there's a nuance in it that we can't lose. You know, we can't lose the value of, thank God for the ERs, thank God for the surgery centers,
Absolutely.
Thank God for the, you know, the ICUs, like things. There's things like that we can't lose sight of, but we also need to not agree with that Flexner report that basically shuns all of natural medicine or holistic treatment. So we have to understand that there's been a pattern, and this river is not taking us to a good place. So
there's a couple of things that come to mind in there. Is you know, one is that people need to take agency.
Yes,
absolutely. You have to take personal agency. Yes. I mean, I get it, and we're all kind of spread thin. We live in a time that, like, I think the people, a couple of generations before us, they were under physical stress, and we live under mental stress, and it's a little bit different. You know, they could go and work 14 hours in a field,
Right.
a farmer.
Out in the sun, getting vitamin D, exercising.
And they were healthy and they live a long time.
And they live a long time.
And then we all had that story. My grandfather took a shot of whiskey every day and he lived to be 96. He smoked a pack of cigarettes, and how is it that, and it's like, they lived a different life. They didn't live under the mental stress. And so it's kind of hard to take agency everywhere. Like, and when you're done taking your health, be sure to do your taxes, do your yard.
Yes.
The roof needs patching. Like we've, like corporations, they're like, hey, we got to outsource. Like, I'm not going to do my own roof. Back then they did their own roof. They, everything. And so you start to compartmentalize your life and you give a portion of the agency away.
Right.
Right. Like when you hire a contractor to replace the water heater, you're like, well, I paid him.
Yeah.
It's the water heaters. What do you mean it's leaking?
Right.
And I get it because I give tons of agency, but I think when you talk about your personal health, that's not your roof. That's right. That's not the oil in your car.
No.
It doesn't get much more close. I'd say salvation and then your personal health.
Yeah.
Those are two things that you really need to take agency on.
Yeah.
That's hard though, because all the messages out there, are like, hey, the dollar menu. We got this food on the dollar menu.
Right.
Or
exactly.
Because I would like to talk about nutrition.
Yeah.
And talk about how, part of me, I'll give my disclaimers. Anybody can call me crazy, but I've been saying for a long time, hey, our food supply, maybe the word poisoned is too strong, but let's say tainted. And that is a byproduct of there's a few business laws. One of them is when you increase productivity, quality goes down. That's like a business universal law, right? When you went from making 10 hamburgers a day to 100, the quality's probably going to get hit, right?
Right.
So when you are feeding billions of people and you're shipping food across state lines, all of a sudden that quality starts to go down.
Yeah.
The further out it gets, like there has to be a cost, right? There has to be like, can I pick a fresh tomato and ship it 1,500 miles and it's just as good
right.
as the one in my backyard?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, well, no, you can't. Okay.
No.
So now compound that to every meal you've eaten for a year.
Right. And I, it's so true. And I talking about like giving away agency, like giving away. And I know that there can be an overwhelm in people that aren't in the health background, and you hear these things and most people would agree with what you just said. Like, our soil depleted, they're dropping things on the sky, like there's just all of these, it's true, but I think there's an overwhelm. And I think as human beings, when we're in overwhelm, we just shut down. Like we just are like, it's too much. Okay, where's the McDonald's drive-through? It's just too much. And I have been there. Like I have to say, as a mom of 4 kids, and I was, like trying to get dinner together, I'm popping open whatever processed thing I can because I just can't, But I think that the more we can really meet people where they're at and give them small action steps, and if they can understand, like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of even the food history of where we've come from. So much of where we're at is really starting back when they said that cigarette smoking was not good for us. So that was back in like the 1960s. 60s. Yeah. Surgeon General came out and said, hey, cigarette smoking is not good for you. So what happened was all of like RJ Reynolds was one of the big tobacco owners. And he was like, okay, this is gonna hurt my profits. So what he did is he packed up and moved across the street, started a new place. And in the process, he bought Nabisco. So RJ Reynolds used to own like Camel cigarettes, but now he bought Nabisco. So he didn't just buy a food company. He also brought all his brilliant scientists over with him that knew how to create a food addiction, that knew how to manufacture the food so that we are actually addicted to them, to change our dopamine, so that we need to change, and that changes the gut microbiome, right? So that we are actually craving these things over and over, and the nutrition value goes down, and the obesity levels go up. So if you really look at like even our obesity in our nation, back in the 60s, it was like 15% or something.
I didn't think it was that high.
Yeah, it was low. And now we're at 40. I think the last time I looked, it was like 44% obesity rate in our nation. But if you look at it, it's the same time that these big food companies came together and we started to, and there's just this steady rise that keeps happening. So when you kind of back that up to like the story of like, okay, what is Mr. and Mrs. Anderson going to do in their own home? Well, how about we just make it simple? Like you don't buy the packaged stuff, even if you can't grow your garden, just go and buy something fresh, like whole food, just start with that.
Yeah.
And then just make little steps.
Which is a big leap. It's easy for us to both say.
Yes, but it is. It
but
is.
It is a big leap.
It's a big leap when you're used to Stouffer's lasagna, you know?
And you said when your gastrointestinal system is off a certain way, and we back to that statement, your gut's your second brain, and you're having all these impulse signals that are telling you to just, hey, just let's get this real quick. And you can probably justify it by like, well, I really don't have time. But what you don't realize is your second brain is telling you to go, hey, I need that crack. Go get me that crack.
Yes. It's really that, and I mean, I was there. I know what that's like. I know what that's like to feel like I just have to have that, or I have to, but it's just a little, maybe instead of, one all processed meal, one day you do one less, you make, and I have to tell you, like, I have a 21-year-old right now and I have a 17-year-old. And then I have a 23-year-old and a 19-year-old. My girls are those, and my two boys are the 21 and 17. And man, I do not, they eat absolutely horrible. They are out, they're getting KFC, they're doing all the things, and they know, I mean, they got me as a mom, and I'm always telling them, hey, like, can we have this, try this? And they're not having it. And I just keep saying, well, if you ever want to, like, let's switch over. And which is really cool. Just like 2 weeks ago, my 17-year-old's like, well, if I decided I wanted to try this, would you make the meals for me? Like, I'm like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm like, well, I don't know if I'll make all 3 meals, but I said, I will make a schedule for you, and I'll make it really easy, and I'll make sure you have the ingredients. So he's been doing it a little bit. I don't know if he's been really clean with it, but in terms of but I'm just...
Well, it's also not an all or nothing. I mean, it'd be nice. It would be nice if it was all or nothing. I mean, if we got rid of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But
it's not realistic. Yeah.
No, honestly, it's not.
It's not.
It's not in America, not today. I know there are some people pulling it off. I have a friend who is super healthy. I mean, he's been healthy for so long.
Yeah.
And every time I visit him, he has these awful snacks, and they're all like, oh, this is dried kiwi, and it's with kelp, and this is hemp seed, and he's like, oh, it's and he'll take a bite. He's like, isn't this so good? And I'll take a bite.
Oh, it's nasty. What is that? Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, what it is, you put the lime juice on it, and that gives it, and isn't it just like eating a Sour Patch Kid? And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yes.
But it was a journey. I remember, I mean, I've known him about 15 years, and probably about 13 years ago, he started. So now he's off the addiction, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not easy. It's not. And when you're living a busy life, convenience, but there's, I love the quote by Thomas Sowell, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs.
Yeah.
And so if hey, I don't have time, well, you're going to pay somehow. Yeah. I want to talk about one thing in particular. Yeah. My wife got us off something a while ago. I don't even know how long ago she got us off it. But once she got us off it, we would go places and eat, and I didn't feel right. I'm not going to say I got sick or anything, but like I was like, I don't feel it. And it was seed oils. Yeah. She got us off seed oils. Oh. We buy olive oil. Our chiropractor hooked us up with a guy in Corning who presses, and they take the olives, I guess, that aren't that great. Yeah. And we get them in these unlabeled, and it's, organic, like Corning, right? And I just noticed. And when I have seed oils, I can tell I just had a seed oil. Like my stomach, it's hard to put into words. It just, it's not pain, but I'm like, I don't know. That tasted great here, but it's not feeling so good here right now.
Yes.
And especially like I love pizza. And we just had some the other night from a place I love. Yeah. And it tasted so good. And 30 minutes later, I was like, I got to remember that this happens every time.
I had that same experience. Yeah. Just every time, like feeling like, oh, it's not worth it. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And and
it's almost like a hangover, like an immediate hangover.
Yeah, you just want to sleep and you feel tired or your stomach's hurting. And and like seed oils is huge. Like I think that's, if that's the number one, that's a great place to start. Is seed oils, number one thing to get. So when we talk about seed oils, like really, we're talking about like canola, not good for you. Soy, not good for you. Grapeseed oil, not good for you. The only ones that are good for you are going to be an olive oil, right? Avocado oil is great.
Those are the two we have in the home.
And coconut oil.
I correct. I forget coconut oil is because right now it's liquid, but during the winter it's solid. Right. But right now it will be liquid.
It's going to be clear
on today.
liquid. Yeah.
But I keep forgetting we have that too.
Yeah. So
and it's not really the seeds because you can't eat seeds. It's the processing, right?
It's the processing.
Yeah, they use these industrial grade, and then they use all these chemicals to separate it out, and that's the real problem. You're getting those chemicals in the oil,
right?
Because you can eat sunflowers, you can eat soybeans, whatever. I don't even know what canola comes from.
Yeah.
Canola plant?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a highly processed. And if you think about back in, what was that, the 80s, the Crisco phase, and that was like absolutely the most unhealthy byproduct of, So I'm glad we're moving away a little bit from the Crisco days. But getting rid of the seed oils and making sure, a little tip too, you don't want to cook in your olive oil. You want to actually cook in your avocado oil, because olive oil, when you heat it up to a certain temperature, it actually molecularly changes, and it's not as healthy to our bodies anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We cook with both, so I
and
just learned something.
I just learned that a little bit ago too. So avocado, olive oil, awesome. Put on it a salad. It's really good for us. Tons of antioxidants, omega-3s, but you don't want to use it to cook with.
Ever.
No.
Right, and not bake, because I'd be cooking, right?
I can say if you do a low temp, let's say you're going to low temp cook some veggies up, but you're not going to fry it. I'm talking don't fry it. Don't make it so you're
What about if I put it in pancake mix, pancake batter?
That's a good question to see how hot that would have to get.
325? Yeah. I know because I make pancakes.
I have to look at there's a smoke point, so we got to look at what the smoke point is of olive oil.
Got it.
But, I've changed to avocado oil. You can't even tell. Cooking avocado. And then coconut.
I don't have an avocado hookup.
Oh,
so I have an olive.
You have olive oil.
So now I got.
You got it. Just it's good. It's the little things, and I would say if you're gonna have to cook in a canola oil or an olive oil, cook in the olive oil. It's like the little changes. We all know people that are kind of hyper, and then it turns into fear. And we don't want to be fearful. We want to be led by what God is showing us today. How can we care for our bodies? How can we be kind to ourselves? And how can we go after health, which is what we want. We want to.
What about probiotic foods like yogurts and kefir and sour? My wife got sauerkraut. We buy the sauerkraut. That really is.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. And you think about order of food is really important. You want to talk about if you eat a probiotic fermented food first, you're gonna. It's again your little microbiome in your tummy. You're kind of setting it up. Apple cider vinegar, fantastic. So I know people that have a couple spoonfuls of that before meals. That's good. I've tried that a few times. It's a little hard. But you can mix it with some water.
Plug your nose.
Yeah. I got it. I'm still working on that.
It's amazing how much taste is connected to smell.
Yes. So I can try that. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that little tip.
I'm good. You hooked me up, and now I hook you up.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna try to plug my nose in it. But it really does help you kind of prepare the way. If you're gonna eat a meal, another tip, I have a blood glucose monitor on continuous. I was
watching one of your posts on it where you're talking about the difference between what it said and then you did an actual blood test. Yeah. Because this measures the interstitial.
Yeah, interstitial fluid.
Yeah, not
instead
the blood.
of the actual blood.
And so it was off by
a little bit. Yeah.
It was off by a lot.
Yeah.
Well, 120 something versus 80 something.
The other one I had on before was off by way more.
Oh, okay.
But
So this is a new one?
certain brand, this is a little bit more close, but still a little bit off.
I didn't catch why you were tracking that.
Because our body actually can burn the right amount of glucose that it needs, and if we give it too much, then we're going to get it stored as fat. We're going to get tired. We're going to have the whole system gets off, right? So insulin is a very powerful hormone, and so we want to be really careful what we do with it. So this is just helping tell me what are the combination of the meals that I'm eating, and how can I change it to do better.
So I remember you ate a salad with olive oil and it spiked and you were shocked.
Shocked, yeah.
Yeah.
So good you remember that. That's awesome. But I think maybe a little bit of cranberries with it.
Because I would have thought it was raisins.
Yeah, a little bit of raisins with it. And I think that part of that spike had to do with the fact that I did not have a protein or a fiber. Okay. So even though I had a fat, because I had the olive oil, I had the fat in the salad, I didn't have a protein and I didn't have a fiber with it. And you can talk about adding things into your diet that you're actually bringing like a stabilizing force to the meal. So if you're going to have a steak and a potato, have your salad first, and that's you talk about priming the stomach, priming our system so that the food we eat afterwards, we're going to be able to digest a lot better. I always tell people, if you're going to have a steak, always have a salad, because you add that green in with it. It kind of acts as an emulsifier. It kind of breaks it down. It helps your steak get digested a lot easier. So
one thing I want to ask you was there's been a huge push on intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, I was watching one of your videos talking about your breakfast smoothie in the morning. And so I was wondering, like, is intermittent fasting, because everybody I know that does it and sticks to it drops weight.
Yep.
And I did it for a little while, and like I hit that rhythm. Every now and then I'll fast for 2 or 3 days. I try, just water and black coffee. And that's great. I always set out to like 7 days.
Right.
And
I'm going to 21 this time. Yeah.
I think I made it, the longest I made it was like 3.5 days.
Yeah.
And it just all of a sudden I was like, no mas. It was too close to the refrigerator. But mostly I usually give up after 48 hours.
Yeah.
But and then I'll lead into intermittent fasting, because I'll eat this monster meal, and then I can make it like 18 hours. But then it's 5 days later, I'm right back to breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
So is that good or not?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. So this is where there's a little bit of a nuance, I'll say, between men and women. Okay. So, one of my passions is hormone health. My background is women's health. So I really love speaking to women about hormone health. So men, so for you, yes, do your fasting, man, do your extended, all the things, like I would say, my husband does a lot of fasts. He loves to he'll do 24-hour, 48-hour, and he'll feel great. And I think that's fantastic. And you're actually doing such a great service for your cells. Like when you do a 48-hour fast, you're actually doing such a deep level of purge in your cells that you're cleaning up. Like, it's kind of like if you think about when you're not fasting, when you have guests in your house, you're kind of maintaining order, like you're like, okay, we're going to make sure we keep the dishes clean. We're going to keep all these things going. But when your guests leave, then you can like deep clean the house. So when you're fasting, it's like your body's chance to kind of get into the deeper levels of the cell and really clean it out. So fantastic fasting. Now for women, I'll speak to the women for a minute. I would say you can fast. I love fasting too, but you have to fast in rhythm with your cycle, your monthly cycle. Super important. So women, you really need to, so for women, number one, first day of bleed would be, you're probably not going to want to be fasting then. But right before you ovulate, so most women ovulate around day 14, but there's like a week or two window that you probably could do a fast. And you could probably do an extended fast and be just fine and not send your hormones into chaos, okay? What happens is a lot of women will fast towards the end of their cycle. So your luteal phase is when you really, the week before you get your period is really an important time that you're going to be supporting your hormones with some really good complex carbohydrates. So you want to be adding in the sweet potatoes. That week before your period, you do not want to be doing your high intensity workouts. You don't want to be doing, and I had to learn this the hard way because I loved my Orange Theory and my CrossFit for a long time. And I didn't know, like, why was I, first of all, getting really erratic cycles? Why was I getting injured the week before? And I was like, what's going on? Then I realized, women have a cycle of working out and eating appropriately that we need to respect and be aware of. Otherwise, all our hormones get out of whack, really. So intermittent fasting, awesome for women. First half of your period, do it. Like, you guys, do your 24-hour fast, do all those things. Second half, don't. And the week before your period, don't even do any intermittent fasting. Eat good food, whole food the entire time. Because your body, the fact you crave dark chocolate, that's not bad. Like, give yourself dark chocolate. Like, give yourself the things that you're craving that week before, because that is actually something that you're needing that extra carb load at that point. So,
okay, yeah, wow, that's complicated. So that I was like, wow. I was like, But then I realized that's pretty easy for you, Joey. Yeah. You can do whatever you want anytime you want. Okay, I can go with that. So you're starting a coaching business.
Yes, I'm starting one. So I am just finishing up my board certification in functional medicine. So I'll be a nurse coach. So I'll be a certified nurse coach. And I am going to be launching it. It's called True Balance Health. So super excited. I never thought I'd be here but I think sometimes the hard parts in life kind of direct you to new paths. So I'm super passionate to get hormone health. I'm super excited to meet. I mean, I'm in that perimenopause, menopause season myself, and I've just learned a lot, like what works and what doesn't work. And I want to just share it with other women, and I want to help other people on their journey.
So is that going to be like a local thing or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's probably going to be online too. I'll probably do online coaching and groups and support. And so it'll be not just Redding, but yeah.
Do you I'm not trying to put you under the gun, but
Yeah.
like, do you have your website? If people want to find
Yeah.
out about this,
Yep.
like, do they check your
Yep.
Facebook? Like, how do they find out?
I have an Instagram, True Balance Health.
Balance Health.
And then I have a Facebook, and then I do have a website, and it should be going live this week. Just kind of finishing up with my website designer, getting the last few things
very
in
good.
place.
And
So
is it truebalancehealth.com?
it's actually truebalance.health.
.health. Truebalance.health.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
you wrote a book.
I did. Yes.
It's a pretty cool book.
Yeah.
wanna
It's
tell us
really
about it?
exciting. I'd love to. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course, man.
So we're changing directions. I love it. So I work with nursing students at Simpson, and I love them. I kind of feel like I'm not older than 20 myself, so we totally get along. I tell them that all the time. Like, I way like hanging out with people your age because you're just fun, you know? And so one of the things that I've just had a heart for is just really teaching them about how do you walk with the Lord? How do you do Christianity? If you talk about do Christianity, what does it mean to be a Jesus follower, you know? And so that's one of my things. And so I bought for years, I bought these 1-year Bibles, you know, it's like, you know.
Read the Bible in a year?
Yeah. And it's like January, you read a little bit Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms and Proverbs, you know, and you just open the book and you just read whatever you can. And I loved it. And my family and I started going through it during when all the shutdown happened. And it was great. And so I kind of bought 25 Bibles. I stuck them in my drawer in my office. And every first semester cohort that comes through, I always say, hey, if anybody's feeling stirring that you want to start reading the Bible in a really easy way, it's New Living Translation, super easy to read. Come talk to me. I used to give them away, but now I charge them $5, even though they cost me $25. But but I wanted to have something in it, you know, something that's costing them. And then I did that for a few years. I've been at Simpson for over 10 years, so I've been there for a while. I did that for a while, and then I felt like this little like, hey. Why don't you just write it, help them out, write a devotional, like just write it. So I was like, okay, I think, so just a stirring. So I flew to Texas for the weekend and just me and Jesus. And I just sat on the deck. I got an Airbnb on the water and Galveston, Texas. They don't have great beaches there, by the way.
No.
But anyway, I was a little disappointed. I hadn't been there before, but I was like, oh, this is not a great, anyway. Okay. But got a great Airbnb, just I got right on the beach and just started writing, and January 1. And what the devotional is just a verse from that reading from the day, from the 1-year Bible, just one verse, and then it's a prayer. And in that prayer, I just say, thank you, God, for this. Please forgive me for this and help me with this. And that's all it is. It's like a 3-part prayer, and it kind of goes with the verse for the day. Super simple, you know, how many paragraphs. And then I have a little box that says respond with your spirit. And I just encourage them, draw a picture, write your own prayer out where it's your feeling, whatever. Just take 10 minutes and do this, you know? And if you have more time, you can read the entire reading for the day that goes with it. So in the front of the devotional, I included like the Bible and a reading in a day. If you don't have that one Bible, then you can use any Bible and look it up and read it. But it was just this project. I think it was more just me and the Lord just working on it together and just wanting the students to have something that they could respond. They get so much information put at them, like given to them. And I wanted them to have something that they could, what is my spirit saying in response to this verse?
So it's like a daily devotional, but also a journal and a guide to help you get through the Bible in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the name of the book is Abide.
Yeah.
I saw it, and it's available on Amazon.
Yeah. It's on
when
Amazon.
did you publish it?
Let me think here. I think I want to say last January.
Any movie rights yet? Any movie deals yet? No?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I'll get
good.
to say I got to talk to you before the movie deal.
Okay, right,
so that works
right.
out. That works out
so
perfect.
It'll be a blockbuster. Yeah, it'll be
So,
good.
and you and your husband also run a couples retreat. Yeah. Tell me about Couples Connection.
Yeah,
right?
Couples Connect. Yep.
Couples Connect.
Yeah, and that is another thing where it felt like, I don't know if you've ever had the feeling, Joey, of like when you feel like the Lord just kind of pushes you a little
absolutely.
bit, where you're like, oh, here we go, you know. And a lot of what I do, I feel like it's just this little like go, you know. So we were in the midst of having a lot of our family members going through divorces, and it was just hard. And they had kids, and divorce is hard, right?
Yeah.
And we had kind of felt like we did everything we could. And we found out a little too late, to even support them. It was kind of like they already made their decision and it was over. And it was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we both had this heart of like, I think we got to intervene sooner. Like we got to, and Matt and I have our own story of struggle in marriage. We're not coming from an ivory tower, we've had 28 years now of marriage.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And 4 kids and a dog, but it hasn't been an ivy road, like a great easy path. And most people that have been married for a few years wouldn't say that. Would say we've had rough times, but God's taught us through it, and we've learned some tools. So we were in church one day, and I just felt this like push, like do something about this marriage stuff. So my husband and I were like, let's just do a couples connect. Let's just invite some of our friends, and let's just have them invite friends, and we're going to get together, and we're just going to share what we know and go from there. So we did. We've done 2 couples connects, and they've been great. They've been a lot of fun.
And they're held here. They're held in
at the summit in Whitmore.
The summit.
Yeah. So, and it's been great. Steve, the owner up there, is a great guy, and he's just so supportive. Like, yeah, whatever it takes. We see the need for this, to really support marriages and their journey and encourage people. And so we're just that's a little bit of a side thing that we're doing.
That's a lot.
Yeah. My husband has a new YouTube channel. I got to give a shout out to him.
Absolutely.
Matt Chat is the name of it.
Matt Chat.
Yeah. And it's awesome. He just really, his target audience is guys that are not sure if they want to be believers or not. They're kind of in that in between. Like, I don't know if I want to be a Christian. I'm not sure. What's this really about? So he just speaks directly to those kind of guys.
And so. I feel like there's a really big awakening going on worldwide, but definitely in America.
Yeah.
Whatever you focus on expands.
Yes.
And so maybe I just changed my focus.
Yeah, that's really good.
But I feel like over the last year, there's like a lot of big revivals are going on.
Yeah.
A lot of big, on the universities, which was, to me, our universities were not the front line. I think our elementary schools were the front line, the canary in the coal mine. Yeah. But naturally, the people that were educated in our current education system went off to college, and we've just had an incredible indoctrination. And it's very sad to see it. And we're seeing the byproduct of it.
Right.
And still people, the same people that built it aren't quick to let it go. And so to see the revival start to happen on the college has been fantastic. So that's awesome.
So exciting. We got a couple of years ago, we baptized 9 nursing students.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So fun.
There was just a big baptism. Our church was part of, it was a big California-wide thing.
Okay.
Where they all got baptized. I think it was June 8th. It was like thousands of people were baptized all at once. And it was like, it was a coordination between a bunch of churches to say, hey, and they were really pushing it like, hey, obviously, get baptized when you want, but this one day we're going to do this big thing. We're going to do a big thing. Yeah. It was really awesome. I mean, it was in the thousands of people that got baptized. So I feel like that's your husband's got a lot of potential viewers. I think there's a lot of people that are disenchanted with life. Yeah. And just some of the stuff we've been sold. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And the church hurt and the things that we've been told are this and that. And I think that sometimes people need to go, let's go back to Jesus and what did he say? What did he promise? And who is he? And just welcome him back to that.
Well, you also talked about prior, I think it was about time that you were motivated to write the book. I could be really combining these, but you talked about going from legalism to more of a grace.
Yeah. That's part of my abide testimony in the front of my book, yeah.
Yeah, where you're talking about that. And the same thing, I grew up with that more of a legalistic, God was a judge.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, totally.
And that's completely changed. I also, I was saved in the Marine Corps, so I was pretty militant. You can imagine being in the Marine Corps, fairly militant.
You're going to follow the rules, man.
Yeah, and I was very attracted to militant churches. So oddly enough, I got baptized in a horse trough in a church tent. And the pastor was like, what's your name? Where are you from? I said, Redding, California. He goes, Redding, California? I'm from Redding, California. His name is Bruce Goddard.
That's
I remember
awesome.
that. It's been a long time.
Oh
but he was like, when you go back, go to North Valley Baptist, and my picture's up on the wall. They paid for me to go through theology school, seminary, or whatever the term you use. They paid for him to be a preacher. Huh. So it's like, what a small world, But it was down in Lake Elsinore in a tent, a giant tent. We met church giant tent, and
Yeah.
it was a big old horse trough.
Wow.
So I don't know why I shared that story,
Wow.
but I did.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like in the baptism moments, like just that they matter. I was baptized 3 times. First time as an infant is in the Lutheran church.
Oh, okay.
Second time because my grandma made me because she's like, oh, you need to be baptized, girl.
Yeah.
If you ever seen Nacho Libre, like baptize her. So that was a little bit, I didn't really count that because it was like, yeah, it was more like, okay, when are we done with this,
Mm-hmm.
But then the last time was when I was a travel nurse down in Yuma, Arizona. And that's when it was my choice. And that's when my life changed. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was thinking about, there was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, and it was because you have a very full life. And then I was like, well, do you sleep?
Yeah.
Or is your
Yeah.
nutrition such that you don't have to sleep?
Yeah, no, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because you wrote a book,
Yeah.
you're starting coaching,
Mm-hmm.
you teach at the university,
Mm-hmm.
but you also work in the hospital, and you had said at the beginning, I teach the clinicals.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking clinicals must be the term for people fresh out of school.
Okay, yeah. So that's part of my Simpson job. So I'm not employed with Mercy. I'm
Okay.
employed from Simpson, but I take my group of nursing students into Mercy and I teach them. I kind of oversee them learning how to be a nurse.
The hands-on.
Yeah,
the
and
hands-on
oversee the clinical part. Yeah, mhm, yeah.
Is that like residency?
Kind of like for nurses. We call
Yeah.
it clinicals, but a similar thing. Like you kind of get in there and like actually are doing the things you're learning in the classroom. So it brings it together, the didactic and the clinical. It kind of marries it there in the clinical.
And you and your husband run a couples retreat.
Yeah, yeah.
And how often do you guys do that?
We've done 2, and we're kind of in this like, when are we going to do the next one? We're kind of waiting on God to give that next, like, okay, here we go. We did run a church, or a group through our church, a couples group, and kind of seeing where that's going to go. We have, it's kind of dialed in already. The curriculum's done. It's just a matter of like when
The
opportunity
logistics?
comes up. Yeah, like when an opportunity comes up, like, hey, do it for our church or do it, or it, again here or something. We'll make sure we have it ready to go, but it's just a matter of the doors that open and the time that we have. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun though.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you too, like, how did you get into nursing? What was the spark for that? Was it because there was a couple of things you said, and did your faith push you into nursing and push you into taking care of people?
It's really interesting because no.
No? Really interesting. No.
It's very interesting to think about because like a lot of times
Because of care, it's
it's the caring, but
Yeah.
it's kind of okay. This is the thing with the Lord and I. Like He puts this out in front of me, and then He's like, "And this is actually why. This is actually the real reason I led you into this." So for me, as a young college student who wasn't walking with the Lord, I was like, "Okay, what can I do as a career where I can make money? I can expand my education. I don't have to be in med school for 8 years or whatever and specialize
and then residency.
And residency.
And then,
so I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I want to.
It's a long road.
Yeah, it's a long road. So I was like, I could be a nurse practitioner. I could do this. And I was just it was really left. It was very cerebral, the decision. It wasn't. And I was like, okay, it's a good career path. If I want to be, boom, But then I get into nursing and He breaks my heart and I go on a mission trip and I'm forever changed. And I'm continuing to be like broken for the, and that's what my heart is like God break my heart for the things that break yours, And so I continue to feel like now it's changed from, oh, I can make a lot of money in this career to, oh my gosh, God, like I get to be in those places with people, the most vulnerable places, like when a woman is giving birth, like I got to be that person, I got to be that. I'd worked in that position for 22 years, before I transitioned into office management, now into, at Simpson.
Delivered a lot of babies?
Yeah, I have. I did that on purpose, but I have, yes. I've a couple hundred for sure, yeah. But, yeah.
And you mentioned the word missionary in there.
Yeah.
And I know you and your family went down to Mexico, just south of, was it Yuma? Did you go down to Yuma across the border?
Yeah, San Luis.
Yeah.
Just down across the border.
Sonora, in the Sonora Desert?
Sonora, yeah.
And what, you guys, is it the classic, we went down and built houses, or what?
Well, we went down there. So David Power has this ministry called Church Mexico. And actually, when we were a travel nurse in Yuma back in 2000, he was the leader of our small group. And he just was praying about, do I start a missions base? Do I not? And we prayed over him, and he ended up starting a missions base. He's grown it over the last 25 5 years. And so we go down there and serve on his mission base. And actually, David is the one that baptized me back when. So really cool. But we just bring our family down, and they have a medical clinic down there. So most of the time when we go down there, we just run a medical clinic.
Got it.
And it's fantastic. And so now we bring nursing students down. We've gone a couple times down there to his
nice.
clinic. And in May, we went to Brazil, took a group of nursing students to Brazil for a week or 10 days actually, and did a lot of different medical clinics there too. So my husband's a contractor, or that's his background. So he does a lot of construction. So a lot of times when we're doing the medical clinic, he's building something down there or helping out design something. So
very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah. It's
Well,
so
yeah.
good.
So, and the true
Balance.
health.
Yes.
truebalance.health.
Yeah.
It should go live next week.
Yeah.
And it's not, it doesn't have to be a local thing.
No.
And you're going to
Anywhere.
help people
Yeah.
get their nutrition together and get their.
I'm going to help people heal what's wrong from a root level. So that's my heart. So really, if you're feeling like you don't have the answers, we're gonna dig in together, and you're gonna have somebody walking with you. Whether it's I just need help with my nutrition. The interesting thing about people is that you could look up everything you want online. You could find all the right answers, but
and you can find all the wrong answers too.
exactly. And so
That's the
it's
problem.
important to have somebody that kind of has been in the medical world for a while and is understanding how these can come together. And also, you have an 85% higher success rate if you have accountability and you have somebody walking with you.
Sure.
Those are real stats, So I would just say if people are like, I need to change, like I want to change. I need my health, I want my health back. I would say, well, I'd love to work with you. We're going to be doing.
I can't remember how many years ago it was. I'm going to say it was close to maybe 6 or 7 years ago. The term coach popped up a couple of times in circles I was running in.
Yeah.
And I thought coach. And the thing I noticed is the people that were using the term were people that were operating at a very high level. And then somehow I came across, Tom Brady has a number of different coaches.
Yeah.
And so it almost became like a cliche thing, and we talked about agency, well, you got to take agency.
Yes.
But part of taking agency is seeking out people that can help you, seeking out wisdom and stuff like that. And I feel like coach is another way of like a good manager, like a really good manager. I've worked for myself most of my life on and off, and most of my managers really weren't that good.
Yeah.
But the couple of managers that I had that were they were coaches. They helped me perform at the highest level.
Yes.
They weren't micromanagers.
Right.
And they weren't bosses.
Right.
They were leaders.
Yes.
And so they tried to figure out, in fact, it's kind of funny, when I worked for the federal government, I stayed there longer than I should have because my immediate supervisor, I really liked him. He was really awesome. And he just retired a few weeks ago after 22 years, and he came to work for me. And I was like, absolutely, because our company, we were kind of stuck. Our company we turn down more people than we take on as clients. We say no to more people than we say yes to. And part of it was when people come to me and say, hey, I've heard you could do this. And I usually interview them. When I first started, I took on all comers. Hey, I was trying to make money. But then I started going like, okay, there's certain people we don't want to work with.
Right.
I never
it's just
tell
not
them
a good
that.
fit. It's right.
I never tell them that.
Yep.
But I'm kind of like, there's certain people through the interview process, I go, wow, you'll never be happy. You'll never be satisfied. Right. And so it'll be my fault next. I'll be the next one.
I'll be the next one you're complaining about.
Yeah.
Right.
But then there were other people that I'm like, we're just not a good fit. We're focused, and I don't want to waste your money and my time. And so I found myself turning down more people than we were, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But we also got stifled in our operations. So we had a superior solution, but we were in this prototype phase, and my old manager was an operations guru. I watched him project manage multiple projects where we kept coming in ahead of schedule and under budget, which is unheard of in the federal government.
Yeah.
And
No, right.
he won a bunch of awards, which meant absolutely nothing, unfortunately. But, you know, he got a lot of attaboys.
Yeah.
And so when he said he was retiring, I was like, hey, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I was thinking I'd like to come work with you. And I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So he just came on board and has already had a very positive impact. He's going through the phase of though, like we were talking yesterday and he goes, I have to shift my mindset because I think I have a hierarchical, old school, because I'm part of this super large organization and a little bit of bureaucracy. Just he was used to making sure that all of his faxes, all of his TPS reports had a cover sheet.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Right.
And we're a small company, we're startup.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we don't do that. We don't. No cover sheet on a TPS report.
No.
Just fax it. In fact, why are we using a fax again? Good Lord, we're technology, man.
We don't
Get
need
in
that.
Slack.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
But a really good, he is to me a really good manager, really good coach. You know, somebody that's gonna and him and I talked about when we worked together, and we got back together, and he's like, man, I missed this when he had a exceptional group of people that worked for him. I think we had like 8 guys, and I was number 7 to quit, or no, I was number 6. And I quit on a Friday, and Monday morning, number 7 called me and said, I heard you quit Friday. And I said, yeah. He goes, okay, I'm quitting today. It was like,
just a domino.
It just pushed us all.
Yeah.
It just was one of those things where we just got so fed up with the machine.
Right.
We couldn't get things done.
Yep. And then when the people that were enjoyable to be with leave, then you're like, why am I even here anymore? You know?
Yeah. It was honestly that. And it was hard to say goodbye to him. And we kept in touch this whole time. He lives in Arizona. And it was like, I feel like it was God's plan.
Absolutely.
And we're now poised, I think, for a great period. So somehow I hijacked your story.
No,
made it my story.
No, I wanted to say, to bring it back to what we were talking about, like we were talking about good coaches, and the difference between a coach and a manager where, a manager can bring you into the office and say, hey, you did this wrong. Do it better next time. Okay, well, fine. That maybe is fair. But a coach is going to say, I see you. I see your potential, and this isn't you. So I want you to rise up a little bit and be who you're created to be. So there's a massive difference because a coach calls you into your identity of who you are. A good coach, right? Calls you higher. A manager keeps you in line. So there's like
good call.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So there's this is not bad to be kept in line, but when you really are working with people that are gifted leaders, they're going to call you higher. So it's like 3-dimensional, right?
Well, you use the word accountability.
Yeah.
So, but it's like there's a level of accountability, and then there's like Josh always talks about don't be a pigeon manager. Don't just swoop in, crap all over everybody, and swoop out.
Right.
Like, don't be a pigeon manager.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's not management.
See your people.
That's not leadership.
Know them. Right.
Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. I wish you the best of luck on your new endeavor, and your website will be truebalance.health.
Yes.
And if you want to check out your book, Abide, on it. I know it's for sale on Amazon because I was looking at it today, and I told my wife, hey, I'm going to buy that book. I might even buy myself that book. That'd be a good one. Because she was saying, I want to get through the Bible in a year. So she was talking about it. And then I was like, that's coincidental.
I would love that.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. Hey, so cool.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I've loved it.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. You too, Joey.
Okay.
I love what you're doing. Okay. God bless. Yeah.
God bless.
Thanks.